Hi guys, welcome to the World of Jabal Noodles, Slurp Noodles and Chat. I am the host Jordan Ibukwe, and today we have a very special guest. Please give it up for Mohamed Talks, who is a motivational speaker, content creator, and so much more. Public speaker, author of two books, and just he's honestly incredible. Please go check him out on Instagram and just the work that he does. And he's also speaking from Algeria. So if you guys are ever interested, go on Instagram and so many other platforms to go check him out. Also, Mohammed, is there a place that you also want your viewers to go check out as well if they're interested?
Yeah, there's my website, which is mohammedtalks.com, where you'll find all of my socials and any way you would want to contact me. So, yeah.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for being here. And like I said, please go check us out, The World of Noodles, and keep making a positive impact. And let's get into the episode. All right, Mohammed, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, and what you do?
Yeah, so I'm Mohammed Yunus Al Habil, a content creator from Algeria. I'm 17 years old, the author of two books, Life Essentials and Do You Have Time? They're right there behind me. I'm also a content creator, and I've been doing many things such as public speaking, IT, cybersecurity, marketing, even. I'm just really a person who wears many hats, basically. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
It's incredible. It's like honestly good that you're like in a lot of spaces. I just feel like people usually tend to stay in one track, but it's always nice, like, being doing a lot of stuff because it's like curiosity and just creativity goes from that. But I do want to get into the first question, and I really want to know what inner battle did no one see when you were building the version of yourself admire today?
I think the most important thing, and this is something that happens to everyone, not just me, but it's identity, especially when you have a lot of things that you want to do, or that where you don't know what you really want to do specifically. So identity is probably the hardest battle, not the type of identity that requires you to define yourself or to introduce yourself when you're talking, but the type of identity that allows you to set your goals and work towards them. Because most people are afraid that whatever they're doing in life isn't what they're meant to be doing, and so they don't start in anything and they end up not doing anything at all, when in reality I don't think you're meant to do anything. And if anything, I think what you decide to do is what life had planned for you, because life comes from you, not at you.
Exactly. And that's really strong what you said about identity because a lot of the times people like to frame us and think of us as like this one individual, not even knowing the story behind who we are. And so it's kind of beautiful how our identity kind of grows and changes as we learn to evolve and become better people. And so that's really just strong what you said about identity. And I do also want to know, like, do you believe most young people are afraid of failure? Because like I feel like the fear of failure is just always happening sometimes, even with academics and stuff that we do. Or are they afraid of discovering their true potential?
I think most of the time people don't really know what the outcome is. They just expect the worst so that they're never disappointed. So most people think that if I do this and it doesn't turn out the way I want it to be, then there's no point in doing it. When in reality, that's wrong. Because when you try something and you fail at it, that's natural. Everyone fails. It's the first attempt at learning. That's what failure is. But what's most important about this phenomenon, or this, well, this thing that happens to everyone and around the entire world, is that people don't actually realize their true potential, and they don't ever hit their limit because they don't believe they have one, until people tell them that they can't do this and they can't do that, and they start putting limiting beliefs in them. And that's when they really think that, you know what, I probably can't go beyond this. And I mean, if humanity thought that way, then we wouldn't be where we are today with so many scientific discoveries, inventions, and so much more. So I think if you're going to be afraid of trying, at least try. Trying and failing is better than not trying at all. I mean, it's the most cliche quote, but it's probably the realest one you'll hear.
That's important. I mean, if you never know, if I've heard someone say that if you like, it's always like it's scary not ever doing something that you love because you never know what it can actually do. Like if you have a dream and you just never explore it, then how will you ever know what could have occurred? Like it's just going for what you want and not being afraid of the risk that might happen because in the end of the day, we're all gonna have trials and tribulations, but if you can just like endure it and just keep going, I guess that's the important part. But I do want to more like center around truth. What truth about growth is uncomfortable but necessary for young people to accept early?
No matter what you're going to try to grow to, or to grow like into, If you want to get stronger, you're going to be tested with your strength is going to be tested. People who want to grow muscles or want to have an aesthetic body have to go through thorough and hard and disciplined training routines and programs. And the same way you're going to train your body, you're going to have to train your mind. So you're going to feel a lot of pain in order to grow. You know, if the seed isn't strong enough to break open, then it's not going to be strong enough to withstand the wind and the rain that'll allow it to grow and to turn into a fruit.
Wow, and that's honestly amazing. You're really wise. Like I really do say this, but like honestly, it's just amazing how smart you are and just understanding your words and the wisdom behind everything, really. And I feel like all my viewers out there who are checking and watching this episode, please go check out Mohammed Talks. I will link it below the description so you guys can go see it. And just thank you so much, Mohammed, for being here as well. And as like I say, please go support our initiatives. We are both young and just we really want to continue to grow and make more impact all around the world. So thank you guys for staying on and let's continue it. But I just really it's really important what you touched on about truth and really identity. It all like comes together in the end of the day when we realize it or not. But I also want to know how can youth learn to listen to themselves in a world that constantly tells them who to be?
Well, there's one thing about life, and it's that you're never finding who you are, you're just creating who you are. When you stop looking for yourself, that's when you start making yourself. Most people are always stuck in trying to find who they're supposed to be. Like, am I supposed to be like my dad, like my mom?
Right.
It's completely your choice. And that's what makes it even harder, but also more meaningful. If you are the person who chose to be and chose to do what you've done and who you've become, then you can't really blame anyone or feel any regret. Because if you made those choices, then you'd have enough decency to accept them, whether it be your biggest failure or your greatest achievement. I think what you should do instead of trying to look for yourself and instead of trying to understand who you are is at least first look at who you can become. When you see the options and you weigh everything out, you realize that most people in life who have been successful and who've lived their dream and became who they thought they wanted to be have actually been thrown in that direction indirectly. Because when you grow up in a family that loves art and sculpting and or articulation in any art form, then you're going to grow up to become an artist. And it's not something that's surprising, but our influence is the most important thing in the world. And if your environment influences you, such as your parents or the people around you, or even your rooms and the places you live in, that has a huge impact, especially culture. So you're not really making the big decisions. You're just making sure that the ones that you make are the ones that you really want to make and that you're not going to regret.
Exactly. Really, no one can, your life is your life. You know, your parents, they, of course, they bring you to the world, but it's honestly up to you to how you want your life to go. And like you said, many people who do great things are led indirectly to their purpose. And usually, especially when you have like a house full of culture and just like a lot of just ambition, because I grew up in a Nigerian household. So the idea of just being successful, becoming a doctor, becoming this is all like in my culture, but really I also allowed myself to figure out things that I enjoyed and choices that I made. So it's honestly, like you said, important that, look at the possibilities that are like ahead and actually choose them. And like you said, explore, like don't be afraid to like mingle and stuff that you like. So honestly, that's very important what you said. And I do want to also go into like what role does play, oh gosh, excuse me. What role does pain play in purpose? And how can young people avoid wasting their struggles?
I mean, the greatest stories are the ones that show a character being most vulnerable because it allows relatability. Pain isn't something that is useless in life. In fact, I think everything is motivated by pain. The pain of not being happy enough is what led our great ancestors to leave the caves and go for the oceans to try and find a better life. That's where dopamine comes from. And I think that pain is the biggest motivator, whether you like it or not. When you are painfully trying to get through your day, or whether you are painfully addicted to that goal and to that vision and to that thing that you want to achieve so much, it's going to wake you up and it's going to make you do things that you never thought you could do or never thought you wanted to do. I think no matter what your story is, no matter what pain you felt, someone out there needs to hear it because there's going to be someone who's going to relate to you because we're all human beings. The purpose of being human and unique is that no matter where you are, how different you are, we have the same pain and the same struggles. When we bleed, we all bleed the color red. So we're all going to have something to look forward to or to look at and say, you know what? We're not so different after all.
Exactly, because we all share kind of, like you said, we're all living in the same space, just in this world and like life. And so we all kind of do share some similarities, even though we are all different and unique. But I do want to touch on that though, about just pain and also struggling. How do we balance, like, of course, we desire more things, like we want stuff, but like, how do we balance that dream and kind of like optimism with reality and like waking up saying, okay, but can I actually do this?
I don't think there can be any balance. If you want to achieve anything in life, you have to be delusional 100%. If you want to achieve goals, if you want to get to where you want to be in life, you can't believe in the life that you're living because you have bigger beliefs, and it's the life that you want to live. So I think if you want to be truly successful and really achieve, you have to believe in things that have never happened before, and they usually call people like that crazy. So you have to be delusional.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. I truly, my friends call me delusional all the time, but I tell them, you think that. But when I do stuff and it happens, just know my delusional was actually because of my creativity. So I will tell them that. And thank you so much for confirming my theory. But I do want to go more into ambition and I guess motivation. So when motivation disappears, what should young people rely on instead and why?
Motivation is probably the biggest lie of the century. You need to be motivated enough. You need to. I don't think motivation is that useless, right? Because you need it. It's important. It's something to get you going. But when you take your hand off of the gas and the car is still rolling, it's because of muscle memory. It's because there's a slope. It's because of other things other than the fact that you want to keep going. So don't search for motivation, but search for a reason that lets you, no matter how broken down the car gets, no matter how hard life gets, you'll always try to at least put in the 1% each day, just for that one reason. But it could be anything or anyone. Just for that one reason, you're going to be waking up every single day and attempting to become a better version of yourself or work towards your goals. And that reason can just be the fact that you're happy that you even have a goal and that you have a purpose in life. It doesn't need to be something huge, but it needs to be something strong.
That's amazing. Like, I've never heard of anyone said motivation is useless. I mean, of course it's good, but like in the end of the day, you have to have a reason, like you said, for why you're doing this. It's like you just can't be doing it because of money. Like, okay, yeah, money will come, but you actually have to do like you it has to be something meaningful that you're gonna stick to it. Even when times get rough, you're knowing I'm doing this because of that. And so that's really strong and powerful. But I also want to know as teenagers, we do look for like I guess validation when we want this stuff to happen. But how can teens stop measuring their worth by approval, likes, or external validation?
Again, during our century, well, really during our last 2 decades,
Yes.
uh, the most important thing has always been attention because attention usually gets you money. If you're famous, you get agents and they get you money and they get you to places where you have power. But in reality, life wasn't valued with whatever other people value. If you are a stone or a gem and you're taken to a market of thieves, everyone's going to give you cheap prices. But when you're taken to someone who actually understands jewelry, then you're given your right price. So in this world of social media and digital landscapes and digital people and digital lives, you can't really give yourself your right value because everyone's valuing you based off of what you give or what you represent. But at the end of the day, you have to remember people aren't numbers. They're not numbers on a sheet. They're not money. They're not dollar signs. They're nothing of the sort. In fact, people are probably the most precious things that this entire world has, yet also the worst thing that this entire world has. So it's a sword with two edges. But what's important is that when you know what you're worth unconditionally,
Mhm.
that's what matters. Like you didn't need to have a reason to be born. You didn't need to have a reason to exist. So why do you need a reason to have value? Everyone's everyone's equal and everyone has a certain amount of value. It's just you who either makes it better or shows it to the right people or makes it worse.
And that's very important about people pleasing, people wanting to look like, oh, I fit in or I deserve to like be liked. But really, if you know who you are and know your identity, and of course, you might not know who you are now, you're still young, but if you have a sense of what you're capable of doing and the power you hold, I feel like you're unstoppable. Literally, I anything you can say it and it'll work. So, like you said, it's very important to know your value and just like humans, we are very beautiful. We are just amazing, but we can be deadly. So honestly, just really taking in our own identity and not being too prideful, but a little bit humble, but acknowledging that we have power and purpose in our lives is actually wonderful. And I feel like a little self-respect kind of ties into this too, but I want to know from you, what does self-respect look like in daily choices for a young person?
I think if you know how to respect others, then you're going to know how to respect yourself. That's why living by standards is better than living by mottos, because mottos change with the company's goal. But if you have standards and you have ideals that actually are the reason why you live this way, like for instance, if you have a religion or if you have a faith that you believe in, there are standards and there are things that you need to do every single day that show that you actually believe in that. And so when you have a goal and you have something that you're actually working towards, then every single day you're going to wake up and you're going to do those things because they show that you do work towards something. Because if you don't stand for something, you're going to inevitably fall for everything. So
Right.
self respect is really tied with the things that you know you should do and that you know you shouldn't, and you know why. Not because someone told you or because you saw it somewhere, but because you actually believe that it's the right or the wrong thing to do.
That's important, having morals. Like, of course, you can be a religious person and you might not be a religious person, but in general, you carry like a respect for other people and you know that I'm living in a world with 8 billion other people who have different ideas, have different goals. But that doesn't mean that I should always shove my idea up in someone's face or tell them this and that, but see them as a human who actually has value and is purpose. And of course, like even now in this time that we live in, everyone wants to be the same and stuff. But really, respecting people is also respecting yourself. And if you don't respect other people, then I don't know what to say for you. But I do want to go more into just your own journey. And I do want to know, how did you get to where you are now? And what was the obstacles that you had to face that you conquered?
Well, I mean, I'm nowhere to be fair. I'm just the average kid. I just overthink, and that allows me to perceive things differently.
Yeah,
But yeah, where I am is thanks to my parents, and most importantly, I think reading books. I like reading books, and I like watching documentaries and researching. I think curiosity is the mother of all inventions. If you're curious enough, and so you're going to create. If you weren't curious enough, you wouldn't have clicked on videos, you wouldn't have downloaded applications. If you were not curious enough, you wouldn't have tried to at least accomplish that dream that you think has failed.
right.
So curiosity got me to where I am thanks to my parents and my environment. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's important. And of course, having a great support group by your side, your parents, and just people around you supporting you and getting to where you are is honestly amazing. And I really love that. And I do want to go into the second to last question, but I do want to know if fear wasn't a factor, what do you think young people would dare to become and what's stopping them now?
If fear wasn't a factor, I think a lot of people would have done many stupid things, but I think that they would learn from those things, and I think that they would develop faster. Like there's this quote I think I've seen that says, "Imagine if you were only 20 no's and 20 fails away from accomplishing your dreams. How fast would you fail, and how many no's would you listen to?" So I think if you just try and try and try again, and you're actually just giving it your all, with not a care in the world what happens or the consequences, I think that's the most important thing. And what's stopping people nowadays is I think that outside of actually wanting to do something, there are many people who don't know how to actually start. And they expect a manual on how to reach your dreams. And I mean, I was one of them. But in reality, no one knows. no one is 100% certain of any piece of information. And that's why doubt creeps in most of the time. I think that you have to just throw yourself. And I mean, you hear this every day. Just start. You need to start now. You can't start perfectly. Procrastination is horrible. But I think if you really believe in something and you really have that want, you're going to end up having to start, whether you like it or not. So why not start now, fail now, be called whatever you want, whatever they want to call you right now, and then when you succeed, you can see how all of their faces color up.
Exactly, and that's really important. We are not given a manual on how life goes, or we don't have a genie in a bottle to tell us what is our next wish, but we do have the creativity and just the ambition to go for what we want. And I think that's the best part about life, being daredevils and doing whatever we so please, but respecting the fact that we're still human and we make mistakes. But I do want to go into the last question, and this is a very lighthearted question, even from like the other questions I've asked, but I do want to know. What is your favorite bowl of noodles?
My favorite bowl of noodles. We don't have noodles here in Algeria. We have rishta. It's like a type of ramen, with the boiled egg, and sometimes there's meat on top. It's called rishta. You should try it sometime.
Hey, I'm curious and trying everything. I'm a big foodie, so trust me, I love eating. But my favorite, I would say, is Shin ramen. In Nigeria, we do have one ramen, but it's called Indomie. I don't know if you've heard of it before.
Yeah, we've heard of it. We have a brand here in Algeria as well that makes it. It's like a fast food type of thing.
Yes, it's so good. I egg, put it with some onions, some tomatoes. It's incredible. But honestly, I just love that I can combine that with my podcast and stuff. But thank you so much, Mohammed Talks. You are absolutely
My
wonderful. Your words are very wise, and just thank you for being on the Noodle Pod.